the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right.
Thank you.
For today's program. We would have beat the Dutch if that happened.
A grid of death penalty is 1/4 served. It is a miracle. The commissionership of Billy Gell, an utmost and eternal failure.
Well, excuse? What is that supposed to mean? We're in December, friends. Get ready to start paying things off the next couple of weeks. December! Okay. It's back, except Moss is kind of taking everyone's attention with the planning. So after Moss, December is back.
Okay. After December 10th, after Saturday.
For the last 4 days we worked this year. December!
Greg Cote will do that at the start of every hour. Greg Cote has come in here today and said the Dolphin doubters are back. They should not be. Unless they lose to the Chargers, then it's a problem.
Yes.
So they are a 3-point favorite at the Chargers.
Wow.
I don't think they should be.
I thought there'd be 4. I always like to guess the point spread before I hear it. I thought there'd be 4.
I think their injury situation should make that a pick'em game against a 500 team.
Wow, really? No, not me.
I don't mean it as an offense to the Dolphins. I mean, the Chargers are a 6-6 football team, and I think their quarterback is someone to be feared, even though Billy Gil thinks he stinks.
Their quarterback doesn't win games. You know, his stats look fine, usually.
Well, he's won half of them this year.
Yeah, but like this past week, you have to beat Las Vegas. You know, they keep losing games they should win, in my view. I just don't have much faith in the Chargers at all.
The Dolphins haven't done a lot of losing of games that you think they should win. They've done 0 of that, have they not? It's the number's 0. They've lost 3 games with their backup quarterback when Tua was hurt, and they've lost the game that you just saw.
Yeah.
The NFL, you guys do know how rare that is, right? There are very few teams that go through winning all the games you expect them to win.
Right, especially this year, this season, it's been a bloodbath in terms of upsets. I don't know whether that's quantifiable or not. It feels to me like someone who predicts games every year that this has been a really rough season.
The home dogs seem to be doing well from what it is that I can tell. Every team I would not bet ends up winning or covering. Any team out there that I'm looking and saying I don't have any faith whatsoever in this 4-point favorite at home, I fear, having seen the way the bets are going this season, I fear this game at the Chargers. Should I not?
Nah.
I think it's a litmus test for how much faith you have in Miami. If you're nervous about this game at the Chargers, and the Chargers have negligible home field advantage. It's not like
I think the Dolphins have a home field advantage in that stadium.
Yeah, I think they might.
On the basis of fans.
Yeah, I think they might. It's like Arizona and the LA Chargers have no home field advantage, those two teams. So I think this is a game where Tua and everybody, they come back, they have a nice win. They're like, all right, calm down. We lost to a great San Francisco defense. Now we're back.
I'm just not in a place that I don't expect football to football. And there's basically no time that you can put in front of me a team that's at home that is getting 3 points that I would be surprised if that team won the football game. You could do it throughout the entire season. You're almost not allowed in that sport to be surprised by the Dolphins losing that game, where you slap your head and you say, yeah, of course, you go on the road, you go across the country, and you're a couple of games better than the Chargers, and all of these games seem to be decided by a field goal or something. Is this the game Tua has a turnover and Sanders misses a couple of field goals?
Yeah, I mean, short home underdogs, you think of Cincinnati this past weekend at home against Kansas City, and they won that game outright. It's not impossible. The one thing, though, is that people have this belief about the Chargers that they simply have not backed this season. They have not backed belief in Justin Herbert, whether it's through his injury, him having a step down this season for whatever reason, the coaching, the inability to play with speed at the skill positions, their defense really not being that good. They're a team that just hasn't hit their ceiling, and at a certain point, after 12 games, you kind of have to accept that they are who they are. And it was funny because I was going to make a similar argument about the Bucs until there were 7 minutes left to play last night, because I was going to come in here and say, well, the Bucs are just bad. They're a bad football team. And then, right, and they still are, you'd probably have to say, but Tom Brady can still do the thing that makes Stugotz come in and say, don't do it, I care about you. But they were dreadful last night. They were, at a certain point, you have to accept that who they are for the lion's share of the minutes that they play is who they are. And the Chargers is kind of the same thing. For the lion's share of the minutes that they play, they're not that good.
It's amazing how bad Tom Brady's offense has been most of this season. A 17-point game is not an anomaly for them. They've been a very mediocre, subpar offense this year, and normally you can rely on the Bucs to have a great defense, especially a great run defense. Not this year. They're an average run defense as well.
Okay, let me do some math with you guys here, even though this can become boring. Do you know how many teams in the NFL, when you say the Chargers are not that good, are 6-6?
I'll guess
exactly.
I'll guess 5.
Exactly 6-6. I would have said 3 or 4, probably.
It's them and the Patriots, and that's the list. And I don't think the Patriots are very good either. And I would be surprised exactly 0 if they beat anybody. I don't. I mean, we could sit here and try and guess what's going to happen in this league, but I don't know if there's a substantive difference between the 7-5 Tennessee Titans and the 6-6 Tampa Bay Bucs, or all the teams in the NFC South. Right. If you want to, I don't know if there's any difference between all the teams in the NFC South, except Brady can do that at the end of a game in a way that makes no sense at 45 years old. Do you know how many times Tom Brady has done that? Rallied from 13 points down in the fourth quarter. Anybody want to take any guesses how often that has happened in the career of Tom Brady?
I know he did it against the Browns.
You don't know that because last night is only the second time he's done it.
So there was a game against the Browns in which he scored a touchdown at like 1 minute and 1 second and like 33 seconds. So
I have in front of me.
If he did it against the Browns and last night, that could have been the 2.
But it was not. The Super Bowl was one. The Super Bowl against Atlanta down 28-3 was the famous one.
Well, when does that count? Like, when do the playoff things count and when do they don't count? You know what I mean? Because sometimes, like, playoff stats don't count, but does it count for this stat? You know what I mean?
They count when it feathers your argument. Otherwise, they don't count.
I don't like the playoff stats not counting. I feel like it's imaginary things that we're watching.
They should count double, if anything, playoff
stats.
Yeah.
So, like, career totals should be double if they happen in the playoffs.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I will give you the 2 numbers.
They were down 12 against the Cleveland Browns. So.
He was 0-37 in the regular season and 1-43 in the playoffs. The one being the Super Bowl against Atlanta.
That's crazy.
When down 13 points in the fourth quarter. And it really wasn't down 13 points in the fourth quarter. It was down 13 points with 3 minutes and 1 second left in the game.
And New Orleans defense is not terrible.
Well, and he hadn't driven anything all game, and then he puts together a 91-yard drive and whatever the other one was. Do you realize how unreasonable all of that is? To save their season, the only difference between the teams in that division is that one of them has Tom Brady, who's 45 years old.
But the wild thing is that for 53 minutes, they were awful. Yep. Why does it completely change when Tom Brady is still the same guy who is defying age and playing at a level that no player has ever at this age, but He doesn't do it for 53 minutes, and then they snap a finger and become a different offense. And Todd Bowles was taking all kinds of shit for the 2 punts that he had in the fourth quarter, one on 4th and 7 from the Saints 40, and the other when you're down 7, down 13, and they kept punting, and New Orleans just didn't do anything with the ball.
Right. It made Todd Bowles look pretty smart, actually. I mean, if you're playing the result, it made him look cautious but wise. I'm not saying he was. I'd rather have Wheelbarrow McDaniel making calls of that nature, but still, they won, and Todd Bowles ends up looking good.
It's not just that they won, though. It's with 3 minutes and 1 second left in the game, Tom Brady at 45 years old is again saving another season.
Brady be Brady.
Okay, but can we? It's normalized. That's
Yes.
normalized that we're going to sit here at Stugotz's age. The guy is Stugotz's age.
You're still surprised?
Yeah.
The hell's the matter with you, man?
Takes more than 6 Super Bowl wins to convince Dan. Are you kidding me?
How can you not be surprised? Is it only 6? I thought he had 7.
It could be. Who can count that high?
I think because he's doing it at this age, every time he does it at this age, it's the first time you're ever seeing someone do it at that age. He keeps pushing the limits of what's supposed to be normal. So I do think that even though it's the greatest quarterback of all time, and even though Stugotz has that running bit, don't do that, I care about you, I think since we've never seen anyone come even close to producing at the age that he is, you're allowed to be surprised every time he does it.
It does verify, last night's result verifies that in this NFL season, anything goes. Anybody can beat anybody. New Orleans can beat Tampa. Tampa can have a ridiculous miracle rally and win. You know, that's why when I make a pick, I don't go by won-loss records of each team. I go by individual matchups. I didn't think Cleveland was going to beat Houston because of, Deshaun Watson's comeback or anything. Everybody knew he'd be rusty. I thought it because Nick Chubb is going against the worst run defense in the league. There you have a very quantifiable matchup that strongly favors one team.
What do you think you could get for him? Like if you're to send him to San Francisco,
A lot.
what do you think you would?
Well, San Francisco has no more draft picks for the rest of the time. I'm pretty certain. I mean, they burned them all.
He's also a free agent at the end of the season.
Well, that's why if you're Tampa, you sell now, right?
The trade deadline is passed.
Well, listen, there's always
That's
ways around.
problematic.
There's always
There's
ways
always
around the
ways,
situation.
right?
Yeah, you talk to them, all of a sudden they release hhim, and then he gets claimed by San Francisco. There's always ways around this
Like
situation.
how the Red Sox released Manny on waivers. You just do
Trade via waivers.
Yeah, waiver wire.
Yeah, you do Tom Brady a solid, even though you're still alive in the division. I hear you.
You do a DFA.
What Billy is
Currently
saying is
they're currently the 4 seed.
where there's a will, there's a way.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And you know you're
Yeah.
going to lose him after the season, so you do an underhanded thing where you get rid of him so he finds his way over to San Francisco, right? And then they give you a solid back on the back end. You know what I mean?
I think that when they say trade deadline, I think that's hard and firm. I don't think there's a will
No.
or a way around that.
I think we kept going with hypotheticals
There's
as long as we
always a
could.
way.
You make an exception for Tom Brady.
Yeah,
There's no
maybe,
trade
right,
deadline
okay,
applied to him.
Fair
Are you
enough.
kidding me?
Fine. If he
I mean,
also,
he could
Tom
Baker
wants to be
Mayfield it,
traded.
Right.
where he can
It's
demand
done.
his release.
one-time exemption for Brady that Goodell does because it's Brady. The
Right.
Tom Brady rule. We wanted
It's
you
going to
to
be really undone when the Texans put a claim in on Tom Brady.
Ooh, or guys, we're not thinking about this. Tom says, you know what? That was it. I was happy with how that ended. That I want that to be the last game of my career. Retires. Then Tampa Bay says, you know what? Thank you so much, Tom, for all you gave us. That Super Bowl a couple years back. You know what? We accept your retirement, and we're not going to hold on to the rights to you should you decide to come back. And then, boom, 2 weeks from now, unretires San Francisco. There's a way.
Stugotz, I can't help but think about Tom Brady could have, I thought, had a Warriors finish. Not quite Michael Jordan finishing his career with the Bulls, but with a loss against the Rams, bringing them back in the playoffs in a game not unlike last night's where they were down all game, they looked terrible, and at the end, Tom Brady was being Tom Brady. I thought that would have been a fine way to end. This has been painful to watch, but if he wants to retire right now, that would be a better way to end than the way last season ended for him. If he just ends on that game, they were terrible all game. They're kind of terrible this season. I think they've been outscored. I think their point differential is negative this season in a really horrific division, the worst division in football.
Even though they lost, last season ended pretty great for Tom Brady. He had a great comeback. He and Mike Evans burned Jalen Ramsey at the end with a deep throw, and if it were not for one of the best throws in NFL history to Cooper Kupp at the end, maybe Tom Brady would have found himself in another Super Bowl.
They are -2 right now, the Bucs. -2. First place, though. I mean, they're -2. You asked. I'm just giving you the numbers. I mean,
but if he retired after last night's game at 45, scoring 2 touchdowns in 3 minutes and 1 second.
You mean before he goes to San Francisco?
I mean just retired last night.
That would be a good way for him to go out. That's emblematic of his entire career right there. Yep, you're going to beat me for 3.5 quarters, and then I'm going to rip your heart out. Yep.
Even if he finds a way to win this crap division, obviously the team isn't anywhere nearly as good as it was a couple years ago when it won the Super Bowl. I think it's pretty impressive to be doing this at 45 when you consider all the injuries that team has had.
Pretty impressive?
No, it's remarkable. It's remarkable. If that team doesn't have Tom Brady, that team just quits. The season has gone so sideways for them. He's the only thing, in my opinion, keeping that thing afloat.
Oh, I think that's harsh. I think that the defense, when they are asked to do everything for 3.5 quarters, they keep it to 16 so that Tom Brady is within striking distance. You go back to that Rams game when, what was that, 10-7 for most of the game? That defense kept both of those games alive.
That defense is not playing good offenses this season. It's just not.
I know, but like Tom Brady is playing dreadful offense for most of the games.
His offense is playing dreadfully.
That's fair.
He is not the problem.
It's
having a down year for him, but quantifiably.
You're part of the problem when the quarterback is bad when the offense is bad, the quarterback is at least in part the problem.
I heard excuses for 2 years for Tua when his offensive line was in tatters. That offensive line, there's one holdover from that Super Bowl championship, and he's been in and out.
Well, Woody, I think what Mike is saying, first off, he's on pace for like 5,000 yards. He has 18 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. You play that hard because that quarterback can bring you back with 5 minutes to go, even if you're down 14 points. I mean, that's why you play that hard, for that quarterback. He gives you a chance.
We see really good defenses quit on young quarterbacks all the time that can't do what Tom Brady just did. He rewarded their effort.
Are they not the Broncos with the ability of Tom Brady to engineer a fourth quarter comeback? That's who the Bucs are. They're the Broncos.
They are very constipated. Yeah. How good do you imagine that felt to Tom Brady at his age as his marriage ends in public, to be able to go back to that fountain of youth again and again, where everyone is watching you in the only game that matters. Everyone thinks you've been left too much time. Everyone expects for you to come back and win the game, and the team that you're playing against knows the resume as they backpedal down the field. And in that game, he does something that you never see. Tell me how confused you guys were, because to me, it's like an opera singer belching in the middle of a song. How confused you were when he just didn't see Demario Davis on an interception and just threw it straight to a linebacker.
Yeah, that was awful. Wow, that was a
But
bad
I'm saying,
one.
like, how weird was it to see him do that? And did you see any number of people do it? But when he does it, it's like, well, what the hell happened there? How is that possible that you did not see the linebacker?
Right.
You know the game better than anybody who's ever played it. How is it possible that you have any blind spots?
Right. That's the kind of interception Andy Dalton and Matt Ryan throw, not Tom Brady. And there had to be a point in that game. Tom Brady's a human being. With 5 minutes left in that game, Tom Brady had to be thinking to himself, I am losing 16-3 to the Saints at home. I'm about to go 5-7. Am I spent? Is this it?
No,
I
don't think that. I think he thinks I'm within 13. That's 2 scores.
Okay.
That's 2 touchdowns.
I got this.
No,
I don't know whether it's I got this.
The rage on
It
the
is.
sideline, though, was intense from him. I don't know who he was yelling at or for what, but he was fuming last night.
I don't think that it's I got this, but I don't think it's I don't got this either. It's a strange place to live when you haven't done anything all game. You're yelling at your offensive line. And then I've mentioned this before about how Jeter's postseason stats were exactly the same as his regular season stats because he played like 162 postseason games, which made it just feel like the regular season. Brady has been in so many of these situations that I don't believe that if he's down 2 touchdowns, he doesn't think he's capable of getting the 2 touchdowns in 3 minutes.
Imagine how impressive those stats would be if they counted double.
That's right. Exactly right. But he's in the context of a game where he's
He
hasn't
didn't
even
give you a lot to
scored.
work with there, Billy, did he? He just gave you a sentence,
It
threw
seemed
it on
like
your
he
lap.
forgot that he came up with the
I
idea.
did. I have so many good ideas that I throw them out there. Somebody else patents them and gets rich, and then I go on with my life.
Greg, I know where you're coming from. Today I was trying to convince people that we should build a bridge from the parking garage to our studio because it's too much work to walk all the way down to then have to walk back up.
Right.
And we kind of settled in the middle and said, we have the budget for a zip line. So we
Wow.
just need to kind of talk to permit people and see if that happens.
I would do that.
Yeah.
I've used a zip line. They're fantastic. I've been asking for years for a dedicated Greg Cote express lane on the turnpike in 95, rather, and it hasn't happened yet.
Right, it
Despite
should.
the wealth and pull
You
of this
deserve
show.
it. I mean, you've
Right.
earned it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's right.
Mr. South Florida.
Thank you. Wow.
You got it.
How
Yeah.
about that?
Billy, is there any particular reason you're not taking the elevator?
Have you been in that elevator?
Yeah, it's
Well,
unpleasant, but I've also seen human shit in that staircase.
No, that.
Freshly painted today. I
Yeah,
mean,
it-
yeah, nice.
It does say wet paint. They've been
There's
painting
so
every day
much
for
paint
months.
in that garage. They're trying to cover up all of its ills with paint.
The
They paint over the shit. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Yeah. They literally paint the shit. They wait for it to dry and then they paint it.
They're covering how many ills in the staircase. They're giving it a quick once-over as if we're not going to know that it's haunted by the scent of urine and human feces.
gray paint hides everything, it seems.
Yeah,
and that's
and-
the strategy.
And pressure cleaners as well. They love to pressure clean. It really is just cascading water, and so you have a damp staircase that smells like shit instead of a dry staircase that smells like shit. Their overall tactics for trying to fix the ills of the garage seem to be a bit ill-suited to its actual problems.
I'm going to claim that the single most enjoyable thing in outdoor work is the pressure cleaner.
It's a good shout because it's satisfying. You get to see the results of your work as you're doing it. Normally, you have to wait till the end. Like if you paint a wall, when you're halfway done, you go, "Well, I've painted half a wall." When you see like one paver that was covered in smut, and then it like that smut,
feels good.
that smut comes
Yeah.
off. You see the clean paver. It's like,
Right.
God, this is what I have to look forward to at the end of this.
No, because it's splashback. Got to remember that. And
Yeah.
if you're pressure cleaning that's the case. In that garage over there, no.
Also,
absolutely not.
pressure cleaning's fun for like the first 30 minutes where you see how much you got clean, and then you look to see how much you have left, and you're like, oh, this is going to take
Yeah, it's a
this
slow
is
process.
absolutely horrible. Then you accidentally hit your foot one time, and then it like stings. You rip off some skin because of how powerful the pressure cleaner is. And then by the end, everybody has, at the end, everybody has the same situation, right? Where like, if you're pressure cleaning the sidewalk or a drive or whatever, it's like, you have half of it that like is like pristine. It's like, wow, this is great. And then you just have kind of like zigzags for like the second half because you're like, good enough. That's close. Like, we're done here. I need to take this back to Home Depot. I have 15 minutes left before I take it back. And then if I pass those 15 minutes, it's triple the price. Like, we're good here.
Who's pressure cleaned here before?
I have.
I have.
it seems like Dan has.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, really.
I've never pressure cleaned before.
Yeah, I
Impressed.
mean, but you.
Really? There was shock in your voice when you said, really?
You're really easily
The same
impressed.
kind of shock of you using a zip line. I mean,
Well, yeah, once.
Whittingham, what do you think smut is?
It was sort of a euphemism for like deep in-seated dirt.
Did you mean like muck?
Yeah, like muck. Like, yeah.
Because smut is, I just imagined a bunch of magazine pornography all over the place is what I imagined that you were cleaning up with a pressure cleaner. And it made me wonder, is that what you call your penis?
Hey,
Did you pressure clean your penis, Dan? The time that you pressed?
that don't hurt.
Wow.
The first definition of smut is a small flake of soot or other dirt.
huh?
I didn't think of smut that way. I thought only of smut.
It made me question myself. but-
Well, I stand corrected. I did not realize you said it's the first definition on smut. Smut,
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah, I mean, there is also the version of the third definition is obscene or lascivious talk, writing, or pictures. What's the second one? Lascivious, great word. I need to work that into my language.
What's number 2? Yeah.
Number 2 is a fungal disease of grains in which parts of the ear change to black powder.
What?
It's not, I mean, Greg Cote, you don't clean
Has
your ears,
smut in
correct?
his ear?
No, I don't clean I haven't cleaned my ears in 60 years.
Yeah. Greg strikes me as someone whose has a family member who died of smut.
It could be. I mean,
It does sound sort of like in the gout family, right? Of an old timey disease that used to kill people back when we treated them with leeches.
yeah, before penicillin, you could die of a hangnail. I mean, people were dying left, right, and center back in the day.
Didn't you have someone that died of something very common?
Well, my nana, Nellie Doogie, died of food poisoning from eating raw pork. I should say undercooked
right.
pork.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's common. But, she wouldn't. You don't die from things like that anymore. You get really sick and they
Good
give
old
you
days.
penicillin and, that's it. But God rest her soul, huh?
Yeah.
Rest in power.
Yep. Thank you, Roy.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
What was the ailment called?
There is a specific ailment for eating.
You've used it before. It's a funny word. To die of undercooked pork poisoning.
It's not strychnine, but it's something like
you
that.
You have killed Nellie Doogie with what is a comedically funny disease. Rare is death this kind of funny when it's someone you love, but I believe that this ailment has a name that is cartoonishly funny.
Yeah. Well, enough time has passed where you can you can have a little fun with it. She died, I think, in the mid to late 60s, 67-ish.
Enough time has passed where you can laugh about it.
You
Yeah.
can have a little bit of fun with it. If she died in the 70s, we wouldn't be able to laugh at it.
Right,
But
of course not.
because
A
it's
few
the
years
60s,
from now, though,
it's not too soon.
Right. She died young, too. She was like 60. She was younger than I. I think she was 63 when she died. Imagine that.
We're going to skip past you not cleaning your ears for 60 years.
Oh, that's a little bit of an exaggeration. I'm prone to hair growing out of my ears, so I do maintain my ears. But I'm anti Q-tip. Nothing against Q-tips. I'm anti the thing that you put in your ear and it comes out orange. I'm against that. So therefore, I have a lot of wax buildup. I have candles in both of my ears. That's why my hearing isn't very good, because I have wax buildup.
But there are other means.
There are other ways to
of
clean
doing
your
that.
ears.
I've actually, from a home standpoint, it can be very to do it at home. When you go to a doctor and when you're sick, sometimes they flush your ears out. That's very satisfying.
Yeah.
There is some sort of thing I've done before. You put like a cone in your ear and you set fire to a part of it, and
Set fire?
yeah, and
Yeah.
and
You're putting fire in
Yeah.
your ear?
you're not putting it in your
You put
ear.
like a birthday candle in your ear. Yeah.
That's right.
You're burning the wax?
You're not putting it in your ear, but you are. The cone suctions out and cleans in a way that's less dangerous than the Q-tip. Although it strikes me as similarly dangerous.
Well, fire next to your ears sounds more dangerous than a Q-tip.
You were 100% right, and I have done that.
Yeah.
I have laid on my side on a couch. This was at Dick Rubido's house just outside Atlanta. And I put a white cone in my ear, and he put some sort of a candle, lit a candle. I have a lit candle over my ear, and you would think that drops wax into the ear, but for some reason, it's like a miracle cure. But ever since then, I go to an ENT, you ask them to clean out your ear, they do very little. They do very little. They do something in there, scrape out a little bit of orange mung, but I continue to have wax buildup, and my hearing is off. So there.
I feel like the Q-tip kind of pushes the wax in further.
Exactly.
Yes,
right?
it does. It compacts it.
Right.
Yeah.
They
Good
sell
point.
things now that are more like corkscrew type things, Greg, that it's not the Q-tip that pushes it in. You're supposed to put it in and you turn it, and it's supposed to kind of like catch it and pull it out.
Yeah, I tried that with a wine corkscrew, punctured my eardrum.
Oh, boy.
Don't try that at home, whoever's listening.
but on the street and elsewhere,
You can try that.
Yeah.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo.
Just out of your house.
Right.
Put it on the poll, please, at LeBatard Show. Do you want to hear more from Greg about Dick Rubido's house just outside of Atlanta?
What were you doing there?
Well, he's an old friend of ours. My wife and I were visiting.
Right.
He and his wife at the time.
And you just thought, when at Rubido's, let's light our ears on fire?
His wife at the time. So has he lost his wife or they got divorced?
I believe they amicably separated. I don't want to, air any dirty laundry here. I mean,
It's a little
Poor
late.
Dick,
It's
yeah.
a little late.
it is. It's a little late. I could tell other stories about him, but and my
Let's.
wife, but I won't.
What?
Wait.
Baby.
I'm not going to say anything else. I'll tell you off air.
Dick fucked your wife.
I would not have put it like that. I really wouldn't have. I mean, come on. Don't be ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
A happy 28th birthday to Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
The Greek freak. So young.
Yes. Let's play the sound of what he says might happen for his birthday. I have not heard this sound. I just saw him on a podium last night with a Homer Simpson doll.
I don't know if my lady have anything planned for me. I hope they have something planned for me. Maybe like a birthday cake, maybe like a birthday card, or maybe like a birthday watch, or maybe jewelry. I would love that. I don't know if my family is watching right now. They should go get them. I will not want to go to dinner because I have a game the next day. I want to be able to rest and get my treatment that I usually do and take my nap and play with my kids. After once I put my kids to bed, you never know what can happen, you know? Might get a little bit freaky.
Baby.
It's my birthday.
Greek freak.
Yes, as you mentioned. I accuse this week on Greg Cote's podcast, The Greg Cote Show featuring Greg Cote.
With Greg Cote.
Fine.
Thank you for being on, by the way.
I
Really
accuse
good of you.
him of killing journalism. Here is the reason, Stugotz. He is talking about Moss Miami, the party that we are having Saturday night. Tickets are still available. We are urging Miami. I've seen the weather. Thankfully, it's going to be beautiful, the forecast. It's going to be a lovely South Florida night. And we are going to be at Wynwood Marketplace. And we're going to have bands playing. And as part of his write-up in the Miami Herald talking about Moss Miami, Greg Cote writes, among other things, there will be a live art installation by local artists and a silent auction with proceeds benefiting the Ron McGill Conservation Endowment and Joe DiMaggio's Children's Hospital. McGill will unretire his popular Sex and the Animals show at the event, and the Greg Cote Show podcast will have a special display that, for reasons unclear and best not known, will feature one of Greg's great toenails, which is not described here as neither rotten nor black.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert.
It's because it's great.
And then, quote, splendidly ridiculous, Cody called the plan for the display. It makes me proud and mortified at the same time, end quote.
What a great quote.
He quoted himself.
That's right.
How'd you get him?
Unbelievable.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I was misquoted, by the way. I didn't say that.
How does the Miami Herald allow this?
I mean,
You can't write a story that's got your byline on it and then quote yourself saying splendidly ridiculous. It makes me proud and mortified at the same time.
I feel like now you can.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the wild, wild west out there.
It's actually
I've had it.
You've
Yeah.
gone to that well before. That's one of a signature move of Greg Cote to peel back and break down the fourth wall.
You know, I have an issue with that internally. Also, when I write my weekly short story on that week's episode of the podcast, I don't know whether to refer to Greg in the third person as if somebody else is writing it or as if I'm right. It's not a column. I'm torn on that. I don't know how to handle that. I didn't know how to handle it there. Came up with a great quote, so that's a savior.
Well, I would say that the way to handle it is the way that every journalist throughout time has ever handled it, which is don't do that.
No. I think you're wrong.
Yeah, you've got your
Yeah.
own style.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Yep.
Mike knows. He gets me.
No one else says that.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
When
Mike gets
he's
me.
long gone, people are going to be talking about, hey, remember that time that he did the kooky thing where he quoted himself? It's, it's just,
Why is that so
it makes me
wrong?
smile.
I don't
It's
know
not wrong.
why that's wrong.
It's funny. It's charming. It's
Thank
a good
you.
move for you to have.
Maybe Mr. Journalism Ethics over here will explain to me why it's wrong. I don't know.
I've got to explain to you why it's
Yeah,
wrong.
I don't. Look, in the context of that, okay, I'm writing about a party happening. I'm
Doing you a solid, by the way.
Thank-
He's
thank
promoting
you.
your
Yeah,
event.
Greg is
same
right.
thing.
You're like some sort of commissioner of journalism.
Okay,
I mean,
well, but hold on a
from
second.
fandom, I mean,
Armchair
Right.
editor.
Doing me a solid. Greg Cote does this only for the clicks because our listeners are crazy.
There is something to that.
Sure. One hand washes the other, as they used to say. You wash my hand, I'll wash my other hand. That's the way that works.
I'll wash Greg's hand.
Thank you.
You should have went with that.
But in the context, I'm referring to a toenail at your event, by the way. A toenail at your event. So I think that gives me license to have sort of have a little fun with it, have a colorful quote. It's not like a serious thing. I'm not like writing a story about the death of Don Shula, and in that would be a column, and I would be quoting myself. The whole column would be my thoughts on it, but that's a whole different point.
Right. Different column.
Yeah. This was not a column; it was a story. I tell them, don't put my byline on it; just make it seem like somebody else is writing it.
In your history of the Miami Herald, because I know this is something you used to have an aversion to, maybe you don't have an aversion to it anymore as a professional and public narcissist, but you were somebody who simply refused to write I in a column. You would not go first person in a column. In your estimation, how many columns have you written in your life that have the word I in them because you adhere to some sort of journalistic principle there that makes you make a fine line between I am writing about observations, but never to be mentioned in the first person?
I think I generally don't, but I occasionally do. I would say, if I had to take a wild guess, I would say 1 out of every 4 or 5 columns might have.
I just remember you when we were earlier in our careers. I think the more fame you've gotten, the more comfortable you've gotten with I, because you have a dose of celebrity until you get carried so away that now you're quoting yourself as if you got somebody on the phone that was hard to get.
But that's a joke, though. It's meant as a joke. I'm
I
talking
get it.
about my toenail, for Christ's sake.
There's no I in Greg. I mean,
thank you.
you got it.
That wasn't a compliment, nor was it useful in any way.
I thought it was great, and I
Like
took
it
it
was.
as such.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Took it as a compliment.
I gathered. You often take things as compliments that are not compliments.
Thank you.
I've been informed by the rulers of the grid of death that Greg Cote, the punishment was supposed to be sing the national anthem before every show of the week. But because Greg Cote is only on with us on Tuesdays, it has now been made that Greg Cote will sing the national anthem to kick off the show all month, all of December. And
December.
I am positive that we will all forget.
Yeah, I know I will.
If I had to bet on it, I would say that there's no chance that that entire penalty gets served, that it'll be a grid of death failure that will have 1/4 completion. But I am happy to report, Chris Whittingham, after you said that Joe Buck and Troy Aikman were tired of In the Hunt as a graphic, last night, Stugotz, they came up with something different for teams close to the playoffs or around the playoffs.
Really exciting. What was it?
Sniffing around.
Yeah.
Sniffing around. I like that.
Sniffing with no G at the end. It's just an apostrophe.
Sniffing apostrophe.
Yeah. Sniffing it.
The Commanders are sniffing it. The Lions are sniffing it. The Falcons are sniffing it. The Panthers are sniffing it. The Saints are sniffing it, which means everyone's sniffing it except the Texans.
That means that in the AFC, the Patriots would be sniffing it, the Chargers would be sniffing it, the Raiders would be sniffing it, the Browns, and maybe the Steelers and the Colts as well.
I believe right now, Stugotz, are about to embark on something that I don't think has been done around here before. It's a bit rhythmic gymnastics. gymnastics and it's a bit acrobatics and death-defying. I believe in this hour, we are going to do a back in my day, a funniest thing from the sports weekend, a Stugotz's weekend observation, a Tony's top 5 observations from the NFL,
right,
and Stugotz's top 4 times that someone has yawned in his face while he's doing radio.
Ah, yes. I got to find that list. Weeks ago, we started that conversation.
He's only got 4 of them, though. He couldn't make it out to be a top 5 because there are only 4 times he remembers where he was thinking that he was entertaining people and someone just yawned right in his face.
There is no worse feeling in live radio than when you're doing something, you think it's good, and you turn, and someone on your staff is just yawning right in your face. It's happened to me 4 times. I can't think of a 5th time. And listen, for people who think I try to come up with 5 just to have a top 5, I don't. This is a top 4, okay? I mean,
don't you also have a list? Don't you also have a list of top 5 Colorado Buffaloes?
I do. I got to find that one too. Yeah,
that was from yesterday. We never.
Come on, Bobby Passavento. Come on.
I got it.
Well, we never got to it yesterday. Although I did hear Mike in the kitchen walk past Stugotz and actually say with curiosity, "What is that list of top 5 Buffaloes?" I'd like to hear. I'd like to hear it because he just wanted to see if one of them come from the same play, the same Hail Mary. And they do, right? It's
just a big Bobby Passavento guy.
Bobby P.
Let's start with number 5. Number 5, Stugotz, top 5. I was going to do weekend observations here, but let's do instead the top 5 Colorado Buffaloes, according to Stugotz. Buffalo names is what we're doing. Number 5.
No, these are top 5 Colorado players of all time. We were talking about Deion taking that job. I said once upon a time that was a really good job. It was in the 90s, so I have my top 5 Buffaloes of all time. Rashaan Salam.
Nice.
Very good.
Number 4.
Darian Hagan. Good little quarterback, man. He was good.
Number 3.
Michael Westbrook.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2.
Eric Bieniemy. Public Bieniemy. How about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sleeping with the enemy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, that's right.
Chris
Sorry.
Berman special.
Yeah.
Boomer.
Speaking of Chris Berman references, he had a reference from 2011 last night. I nearly fell off my sofa when there was someone for, I forget who, the name was Chris Evans, had scored, and go, when did Captain America score a touchdown? I was like, Chris Berman with a reference from this decade. Well done, sir.
Put it on the poll, please, Guillermo. Do you use the word couch or sofa? Because Whittingham even falls in surprise in a way that is highfalutin. Number 1.
Cordell Stewart.
Oh, yeah.
An obvious one. You got your 2 players from one play. Slash. How about that?
I do want to go to your weekend observations now, but I can't help myself. Top 4 times somebody has yawned in Stugotz's face while he has been doing his show.
So the way this conversation started was you were asking me, Billy, and Chris, are we going to do the BCS on this show? We haven't done it on this show since 2019.
But God Bless Football featured it last week. Was it the first time, or was it the first time that you guys had updated your personal Billy, Chris, Stugotz rankings?
No.
No. It was not the first time, but we haven't done it on this show since 2019, and there's a reason for it. You'll find out in a second, but we have shifted it over now to God Bless Football, where we annoy Golick instead of you.
It's like a whole new audience,
yeah.
a whole new place to use that formula of just be annoying with somebody.
Yeah.
And BCS, this is not that, though, or did something happen with the yawning and the BCS?
Well, that's how the conversation started, and the last time we did it, it was not met the way me, Billy, and Chris wanted it to be, met by this show, one person in particular, and so that's why I came up with the top 4 times that people have yawned in my face while doing live radio.
Why are you talking around it? Apparently, someone yawned in Stugotz's face when we did the BCS.
Yeah.
So that's why he came up with
Okay, and so maybe this is on the list. It must be because there are only 4. So number 4, Stugotz.
The yawn of 2019, Mike Ryan. During the last time we did the BCS on this show, I turned to my left. I delivered the number 2 team in the country, and Mike yawned right in my face. Why we don't do it anymore.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I did that last night to Jeremy Taché as he talked about how the lottery had given $1 billion over to education. He was just blankly shilling for the lottery.
Well, Jer Bear now has a list to make. I mean, he's been yawned at once.
Number
work
3.
by them, though.
This was a great yawn. We were doing 2-a-days back when the Heat were making championship runs. Me and Mark Hockman, who used to produce this show in the mornings, then me, Hock, and Dan in the afternoon. We were doing a segment called Say Something Bad About Your Wife. I regret that segment. But people would call in, they'd say something bad about their wife. I turned to Whittingham at one point, and he yawned right in my face. And I'll never forget it. And he knows it.
It's true. I will go a step further. I out and out fell asleep during the morning show you guys did once. It was like my 3rd week on the job.
Yeah.
NBA Finals games were rather late, and I just straight up fell asleep in the corner for 20 minutes.
Yep. Made us feel great.
That's fairly shocking that a young, ambitious, hungry Whittingham
I'll never forget it.
would have the energy to briefly yawn in your face and then would nap for 20 minutes on the job.
Those are long nights.
Well, once Stugotz and Hawk have dipped into the file of let's open up the phones and just have people say something bad about their wife, you know you have reached the end of the content mill.
We were tired, man.
Number 2.
The yawn of 1999. I was giving an impassioned and bolded take about the new stadium and stadiums in general. And who was there to yawn in my face after I listened to all of his passionate arguments about stadiums, about this, about that? The Hammer, Hank Goldberg.
The late Hank
I
Goldberg.
was rolling, man. I felt like I was onto something good. I was trying to channel my inner Hank, and he responded by yawning right in my face.
He was your host. You were making a big show. You were young in your career, and you thought you were delivering the goods.
I really did, and I thought Hank would be impressed. It was a well thought out, nuanced argument. I thought Hank would be impressed. Now, in fairness to Hank, him yawning, like he yawned so many times per show that perhaps he just happened to yawn that one time as I was delivering that rant. I mean, he always yawned.
I didn't know he was a yawner.
He was a big yawner.
Wow.
Carbohydrates.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1.
This was a bad one. I don't remember what year it was. Perhaps Dan does. But we had 2 ESPN executives down to see if they could turn our radio show into a television show, put it on TV. I was super excited. Mike was super excited. Dan was super excited. These are the guys who created PTI. These are the guys who created Around the Horn and Highly Questionable. They're down there. They're sitting there. We're doing our show. I don't remember the topic. I remember laughing a lot.
It was Jim Brown's Playgirl spread.
Oh, that's right. And we're laughing, cackling, having a great time, good chemistry. I turned to my right. That executive not only yawned, but minutes later fell asleep in his chair. Eric Rydholm, congratulations.
Congratulations to Eric Rydholm. They did come down to see if they could televise our radio show. We did talk to Jim Brown about making a woman jealous by purposely posing in Playgirl magazine and talking at length about the size and of his penis. And they packed up their things and said, we cannot air this. But not before yawning in Stugotz's face.
Oh, yeah. And falling asleep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because all you have when you're doing the radio show is the audience are the people who are working on the show, and you got to use them to gauge whether or not it's funny. There is no worse feeling than when you think you're doing something great and someone on your staff just yawns in your face. Oh, it's the worst.
It is a fine list, and now we segue right from that into Stugotz. Again, this is death-defying what we're trying to do this hour. It's Tony's top 5. It's all these other top 5s. It's back in my day. It's weekend observations, and it is funniest thing. Cramming it all, trying to cram it all into one explosive hour of fireworks. Let's start the weekend observations.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste, 96 calories, available for delivery. Why are you fist bumping?
Miller Lite.
That a boy. Delivered right to your house.
Let's go.
Who's better than you?
Deliver it right to my mouth. That's more like it.
Dan, during a brief flirtation with a sport, in large part due to a man scoring a goal with his penis, we as a country lost our focus and forgot what's really important to us, what makes us who we are. And I, for one, would like to apologize to it. So, I'm sorry. And I suggest everyone do the same. Because after a weekend that saw the Jets being the Jets, Geno Smith being the MVP, Tua not being the MVP, Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes, their greatness on full display, and of course Tom Brady. Dan, make no mistake about it. Football, real football, the kind we're good at. Dan, the NFL is back.
He is back, so getting longer and longer and longer.
Setting them up, Roy.
That's set up, yeah.
Speaking of back, unfortunately, Deshaun Watson is. Another week, another great loss for the Chicago Bears. I mean, they are having a season.
This is going to be your take. You're going to stick with the take that they just should keep losing.
They're having a season. They have a quarterback. They know they have a quarterback, and now they have a great draft pick. That's a season right there. Dolphins, too a little, too a late. What happened? Sean Payton, LA Chargers, collision course. Christian Pulisic's penis still has more World Cup goals than Christian. I'm not sure why I keep making the penis seem like it's detached from its body, like it's a separate person and player. I know it's just fun. It is. Plus, that would mean too many players on the field.
I made the mistake, incidentally. It's one of a couple of mistakes that I have to correct today. Evidently, the Daily Mail did not refer to you as Brian Wiener.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
They referred to you as Brain Wiener. Brain Wiener, when quoting you
it's
about
really
asking Walker Zimmerman about Pulisic's penis.
Dan, you know what the C in Colorado stands for?
I do not.
It stands for Coach Prime. Can't wait until Dion realizes that everyone in Boulder is a stoner and listens to the Dead and Fish. Coach Prime, more like Coach Kind. Oh, Dion in Colorado. There's going to be a weed endorsement there, right?
No.
There has to be. That's all they have there.
You think there's going to be a weed endorsement for a
Neon Dion something? There's going to be. Yes, I do. I believe. Yeah, why not? It's legal.
He'll have a strain of weed named after him.
Yes.
That guy, yeah.
I mean, anything to make money for his assistants, for the kids, for himself. Why not? He's the star of that show, isn't he?
Yes, he is the star of the Colorado show. What are you shaking your head about, Mike?
He's already working the portal hard.
He is.
He's coming after people that are committed. He's trying to flip people. He was doing that before he actually took the job. He's going to be. It's going to be interesting to see how this works out because typically it takes a minute for someone that's not Power 5 to get accustomed to it. There's this mentality that some of the Sun Belt coaches have, but they've never been of the bravado of Deion Sanders, and they've never come from an historically black college before. So I'm really fascinated to see how this turns out. Everyone's expecting in the portal age for quick fixes, and I think that's a little difficult, but we've had recent examples. Lincoln Riley, even Mel Tucker doing it twice, once at Colorado. Very curious to see how this goes.
This is straight up unrestricted free agency. Now, I saw Louis Riddick point that out on Twitter last night. I hadn't thought of it that way. Like, what is the average number of ins and outs going to be at every school? I saw that a starting Miami defensive lineman is entering the portal. It's just wild how it seems like every team's going to have 18 ins and 18 outs in the transfer. I always call it the transfer market because that's what it is in soccer.
Well, there's some people that are getting bad advice, and entering the portal doesn't necessarily mean that you leave. In fact, you'd be surprised at the amount that end up staying. But it's all about testing your market and finding out what someone else is willing to pay you, and then you go back to your collectives and say yesterday's price wasn't today's price. I advise every high-end prospect to go out and find out what their value is.
Mike, so they dip in, and then if they don't get what they want, they just come right back out? Is that what you're...
They can come back. They use it as leverage. Sometimes you know where the money is, where you're at. It's all really messed up games.
The definition of free agency is what.
Well, no, I think when you get to the pro ranks, there is a bit of bluffing, obviously in the pro ranks, but you can share information. All this stuff is above board, so there are legal ways that you can find out exactly what someone's market value is. You have someone having multiple conversations. Yeah. I'll come over there. Multiple airline tickets to fly into different places, people pocketing the money. It's why I do think the NCAA or whatever governing body does have to get in there, because you open the door for a lot of people being burned. There's nothing stopping these possible commits from collecting money as they consider and then just keeping it.
Carson Wentz, 49ers, collision course. Ohio State was trailing to Northwestern in the second half. That's all I got.
That is all you've got in terms of college football analysis.
Well, I'll remind you, this season, Northwestern...
Terrible.
0-11 in games played inside the United States. Number 1 in Ireland, though. I mean, Ohio State was trailing to that dreadful team. They're in the playoff. USC was 11-0 against everyone else and 0-2 against Utah. You, of course, know what that means, right, Dan?
Isn't that the same thing that happened to Cristobal?
It means the Utes have the Trojans' number.
Did it happen at Oregon? Well, same thing. Utah just wiped the floor with them twice. Nobody wants Utah's players, right?
They're good players.
I mean, evidently. What right does Utah, as you spend $5 million on Deion Sanders trying to get into Utah's class, how is Utah 10 wins good every season?
How is no one stolen their coach?
He's sneaky old.
He is.
Yeah, I know he is sneaky old, but like for 5 years, like college football programs cannot be planning for longer than 5 years at this point. If you get a good 5-year run out of someone, that's you're doing well.
You're paying them for more than that, though. Like Ferentz and Jimbo, these are people who have been around, or their contracts go through almost 2030.
Kyle Whittingham has had a lot of success at Utah. He's 63 years old, which is why a lot of people haven't come knocking on his door. In base salary, he also makes about $1 million less than Deion Sanders will be making at Colorado in his first year as a Power 5 head coach.
Hey, Netherlands, beat us in real football. Also, do it in the finals. The U.S. men's soccer team, a quarterback away. Congratulations to the men's U.S. soccer team for finishing in 16th place. Not terrible with a Blaine Gabbert of soccer. Andrew Luck, 49ers, collision course.
Wait a minute.
What happened?
Didn't you already have Carson Wentz there?
Oh, we'll see what happens, Dan. See how it plays out, you know?
Are they going to be colliding into each other, Wentz and Luck, on the way to the huddle? Like, how's this work?
I'm not saying they're going to sign all of them. I'm just, saying it's a possibility. If there was a team to draw Andrew Luck out of retirement, it would be a team right around where he lives. It would be a team that's that good, that loaded, that he feels like, hey, you know what? 8 games, win a Super Bowl, go back to doing what it is I was doing.
How did
right?
you decide that he lives there?
I think he does.
I think he still lives in Indy.
I'm not so certain.
Yeah.
He went to Stanford. I believe he's from that area. Look it up. I don't know. Just connecting dots, Bill.
That was a barrage you hit him with of look it up, connecting dots.
Yes.
I'm not so certain.
I'm not so certain.
Yeah.
Andrew Luck was born in Washington, D.C.
Huh.
My father ended every argument that way my entire life. I don't know about that. no matter what the fact was.
That's
I
great.
don't know about that. I had no rebuttal. I lost every
I
argument.
know you can't beat that.
He went to high school in Houston, Texas.
College is where he went.
Just
To
doing,
Stanford.
doing what you asked. I looked it up.
Where's he live now, though?
Which
Do we know?
isn't that close. It's not. Is Stanford that close to wherever it is the 49ers are playing these days?
Yeah, very close.
Yeah.
Northern California.
As a matter of fact, Seth Wickersham just did a profile on Andrew Luck that came out today.
See?
And in. Why are you saying see? I haven't even finished.
Say it.
There's an anecdote relayed in the story from May of this year, and it's a May morning in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
He is indeed still living in Indianapolis.
Told you.
To back him up, also Wikipedia says that after his retirement, Luck continued to reside with his family in Indianapolis.
Summer home. It said May. Right?
Well, wait.
Ah.
According to Wikipedia, the family relocated to the Bay Area in 2022.
Damn right they did.
He always wins, Mike. Alabama's still going to win the championship in college football.
Funny you said that. My next observation. I still think Alabama's getting in. The Tide. How'd you know? TCU.
In fact, he relocated because, according to his former coach, David Shaw, who recently resigned, Andrew Luck is going back to Stanford as a graduate student to pursue his master's degree in education.
It's all coming together. Oh, thank you.
This makes me rethink every look it up that Stugotz has ever lobbed in our direction. Does he know that once we start looking it up, he will be proven right every single time?
Lots of student loans for masters in education. Trust me.
Okay.
Pay the teachers.
Save the whales. TCU. Live by the sword. Die by the sword. Phillip Rivers. 49ers. Collision course. That'd be a great one. Oh, man. Since I said this might be Greg Popovich's greatest coaching job ever, the Spurs have lost 11 straight. They are bad. Tanking for that kid. I don't know his name, but
Wembanyama.
Did you see that
He's
clip?
making one-legged three-pointers now. He's making one-legged three-pointers.
Really?
I don't think I've ever seen a prospect that
No,
electric.
we've never seen anybody like that. It's lunacy. He's cartoon. He's an elastic cartoon.
Luke Schoonmaker is such a Michigan football name. Time now, Dan, for the Jim Mandich top 5 list of great Michigan football names.
All right, let's do it.
Outside looking in, Jake Butt, Tom Curtis, TC, John Runyon.
Oh yeah.
This has never happened before. I have a tie at number 5. Jake Long and Jared Irons. How about that? Number 4. Steve Hutchinson. Hutch. Number 3. John Jansen. Number 2. Jumbo Elliott. And number 1. Tom Brady.
No Tim Biakabatuka.
Nah.
No Jay Reamersma.
Nope. My list.
Fair enough.
I mean, Brady. Watch out for the Pels. They're good.
Yep.
Baker Mayfield. 49ers. Collision course. For the love of everything chaotic in sports, please let Jim Harbaugh go to the NFL. And please have Michigan replace him with Urban Meyer. That would be so great. Why not?
Continue to long for Urban Meyer
At
back
Michigan.
in football.
No, just at Michigan.
just
That's the
anywhere.
only place I want him is at Michigan. It'd be so urban to go take over Michigan. Be great. Dan, it's been 4 years in the making, and here we are, just 5 days away. Tua, Herbert, a game that will decide everything. But most importantly, who won the 2019 draft?
Really?
Yep. This is it.
One game.
Yep. Signing a 34-year-old injury-plagued pitcher for $185 million guaranteed is so Texas Rangers. Jacob deGrom, thank you for giving us your good years. The deGrominator. Say deGrominator into your phone. Talk it. Talk to text. And I guarantee you, what it spits back is grandmother. Very frustrating. Who is this guy? Leonardo Martinez.
Lautaro Martinez.
Whatever. Missed 47 chances Messi created for him in 10 minutes. That can't be right.
Your observations.
47 chances? I know. You would think I would remember, but
It's a little bit,
it was in a haze.
little bit of sarcasm.
Yeah. Dan, you know what the B in the Bear stands for?
I do not.
Bye-bye. The playoff committee should let the country vote the fourth team into the playoff. How about that?
Guillermo, put it on the poll at LeBatard Show. Should the playoff committee let the country vote by poll for the fourth team in the playoff?
It would always be like the Texas Longhorns or something that would get in, right? Like
Yeah.
if it's just a popularity contest, it'd just be like a or Penn State or something.
Honestly, FIU would stand a chance because you have like the biggest student body in the country.
Yeah, there you go.
God,
Panthers.
that would be great.
Let's go.
Quick update in the Rams-Lions, Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford trade. The Rams may have won the battle, but the Lions just might win the war. Sorry. Looked at you strange.
They won the Super Bowl. Like I thought
that was the battle. I mean,
Okay, I thought that the Super Bowl was the war.
Goff's playing well.
I
He is.
thought the Super Bowl was the war.
That's the battle. The war is career. I mean, you know, jury's still out, Dan. We'll see. If you're not going to let Justin Fields be Justin Fields, then sit him. Jacksonville Jaguars. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Aaron Rodgers. 49ers. Collision course. Giants. Big tie. Well done. The G-Men. Fred McGriff. Tip of the cap, sir. The crime dog. Not sure what the hell is going on, but Dan, I think we live in a world where the Sacramento Kings are good. Speaking of hell, Art Briles. Dan, those are the weekend observations. I can tell you what I realized.
Hello, Adam.
Yes.
Yo.
I got the
How you
mic.
feeling, bro?
I was scared of the lone AirPod. I thought we were getting you on the lone AirPod, and I was like,
No.
a broadcast professional of
I
Adam
care
Lefkoe's
too much
quality
about
would
audio.
never. How's everything?
Not proud of it.
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I was trying to sort out your plug, and I know NBA on TNT. Is there anything else you'd want us to promote?
That's good.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. You're doing a great job, man. You enjoying it?
Me? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, it's been fun to see all the new energy with you guys. I'm enjoying it.
Thank you.
When is this running?
Today.
Hello, Lefkoe. How are you, buddy?
Oh, Dan. I'm great, brother. How are you?
Let's go.
Is that always the answer to that question? Do you ever say, you know what, I'm just shit today?
Yeah, but I wouldn't do it on camera. Like if we were talking off, I'd be like, these motherfuckers.
He's a pro's pro, Dan. Like
He
moments
is.
ago, I don't know if you heard it, he was asking like the production staff, like, hey, you guys are doing a great job. How's it? Oh, it's been so exciting to see the new energy in that room. He's a pro's pro, man.
He is.
Yeah, I mean, like other than Stugotz, I'm excited to see everybody. Man, what a loss for the
Thank you.
Jets, huh? Man,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
many times
You're
can you get
delighting
to
in
the
it
red
way
zone?
too much. Yeah.
Jeez.
Right. The Eagles are good once in a blue moon. Congratulations. I know you won the
Hey, you
Super
know
Bowl
what?
a couple of years ago, but come on.
So what is it when Alaska where they don't have they don't have moon for what, like months at a time? That's
Yeah.
like what it is to be a Jets fan, huh? Your
Right.
white knight couldn't
Yeah.
solve it for you. man. That's depressing.
No, but no one else can ever solve it for us. So why should I be surprised by that? I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
No, I'm just kidding. I love you too.
Adam, it feels like you really enjoyed the Jets' misery. Do you enjoy the suffering of the Jet fan?
He's Philly, man.
There is this dynamic on the East Coast where Eagles and Jets fans always seem to be friends because we have similar colors. We both hate the Giants, and I hate being compared to the Jets. And so it's like Philadelphia is always called like New York's little brother, and then Jets fans say it, and it's like not your little brother. Like we don't agree with that.
What is the team that gets you most childhood emotional? That
Cowboys.
You're a crazy person.
Cowboys. And I really only see it because I see my dad. My dad will walk down the street if he sees a Cowboys fan. It doesn't even have to be a Sunday. And he'll go, hey, and then they'll stick their hands up, and then he'll give them the finger, and he'll say, F the Cowboys. And that brings me back to like my Stoic philosophy of not being like that. But no, it's ingrained in my blood, Dan.
How old were you the first time you saw your father do that?
I used to be at diners when I was 6, and he would have me recite the 93 Phillies like starting road like lineup. So I would say right around there is when it really got passionate.
Are you crazy about this Eagles team? Like,
yeah,
you're nuts.
I am, but I have this awful up and back. Part of it is because of something that we experienced together last January when Nick Sirianni was hired, where all of my friends love me and they just text me things like, you have to be so happy right now. And I have, basketball players hit me up and being like, bro, I know that you're happy. And then I have, every time I go on Twitter, I have like 50 tweets just retweeting that Nick Sirianni video being like, no, get out of here. You're not a part of the fan base. And it's ruined social media for me, to be honest.
Is that right? So you were the guy,
Yes.
you were one of the few guys out there very early making fun of that initial press conference that everybody was making fun of because it was gibberish. But Eagles fans haven't forgiven you for being the first in line to make fun of a truly epically bad first press conference by a coach.
I wrote, you've got to be kidding me, which I thought was innocuous enough that I wasn't going to go, this guy's going to stink. Like, I thought I was smart about this. And of course, it has 42,000 likes. I even posted like a quote from a Chinese philosopher to try and explain Nick Sirianni's quote, which was less thinking equals more talent takeover. And I tried to even explain it. But no, I get trashed every single touchdown. And I understand now why non-Eagles fans have an issue with the Eagles fan base. And I was kind of wondering today, for your approval, can I delete this tweet? Like, I have tried to say I will take it and I will bear all of the brunt. If I delete it, there will be screenshots, but it won't be the video. Can I delete this tweet, Dan?
Mike Ryan is saying no. He's vigorously shaking his head no. And I'd like to give Lefkoe permission. Lefkoe is the rare, not obnoxious Philadelphia fan. The idea that he's a delightful person. He's charming. He's kind. He's got positivity around him at all times. For him to turn on the Eagle fan base because it's too cruel for him, when he was fairly benign and making fun of a press conference that we were all making fun of, Mike Ryan is still shaking his head no.
I can't allow it because there are multiple times a season I go back and search Twitter for that video to remind myself why I thought Nick Sirianni would not be a good hire. So that needs to stay
I'll
up.
send you the video. I will text you the video.
No.
I am asking
It's
for
part
a
of
mental
you.
reprieve.
No.
No, I think you revel in that quote. You revel in that you own it and you're proud of it.
Yep.
And you wave it like a flag.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need some back in my day justification right now.
I'm telling you, own it.
I didn't realize that was Greg Cote. I should have known from the back of the head because I can't see from this camera angle.
That's right.
But
Thank you for that. Back in my day, you didn't delete something from Twitter. You owned it.
It makes me sad, though, that Lefkoe, a personable Lefkoe, has been defeated by social media. And around your team, no less. What a shitty experience.
this could have been such a special year. I was the first one to say that Jalen Hurts was going to be a stud. It took me 3 snaps when he filled in for Carson Wentz against the Saints. This is back in 2020. I got the receipts to prove it. I've been right about every Eagles draft for the last 5 years. I haven't missed. I celebrated with Jason Kelce live when the Eagles traded for A.J. Brown. I have all of these moments in which I feel as though me and the Eagles will be forever entwined. And the one time I tweeted, "You've got to be kidding me," haunts me every single week. I understand Mike has been through a lot with his Cleveland Browns, his Miami Hurricanes, and I feel like he's passing that off to me. I think Greg is taking decades of drama and he's just transferring it to me. Dan said I could, but I might need hands. I might need a majority of the LeBatard clan, and I definitely don't need Stugotz.
Lefkoe, I might be able to help you out here, though. Okay, Greg Cote, you've given the opportunity to delete your Scott Mitchell article that you wrote, where they should get rid of Marino and go with Scott Mitchell. Would you take that opportunity?
I would not.
Really?
No,
it's part of you.
That proves what I'm saying here. You take controversy, you refigure it, and you make it work for you. It's been great.
One of my great, really favorite things about Greg Cote's entire career is not just that column, but that he appeared the next day on local news, silhouetted out and with a voice distorter on the interview that he did, because he was in hiding for trading Mitchell, trading Dan Marino to make room for Scott Mitchell. But I give you permission. I think, Lefkoe, you should do it right now heroically. I think you should do it on air. You should do it publicly as a purging, and furthermore, symbolically, as just a notice to, an inspiration to people across the world that you will not let social media get you down. You will not allow others. You will take away the power from them to do this to you, that you're going to clean slate it in a way that's emotional, symbolic, and no apologies. You've deleted it. You've taken the beating. It's not a deleted in shame thing. You want to be done with the cruel and acid-filled nature of the internet.
Wow. Mike, Ryan, is that okay with you?
He's going to send it to you personally, Mike. Your narcissism cannot.
I will save this video.
Normally I would speak for the masses here, but you are really trying to be you're trying to appeal to my vanity, so I'm going to allow it. Yeah, I'm super vain. Please pump up my ego.
Look at this. It's happening right now publicly. Look at this.
Oh, my goodness.
Look at this. It's happening.
Don't do it.
Yes.
Don't do
yes.
it.
Don't
Clean
do it.
your life of this poison. Free yourself. There it is.
It's gone.
How do you feel, Lefkoe? How do you feel?
Yes. How do you feel?
Right now, I feel great. In about an hour, when someone tweets me, "The internet never forgets," I won't feel as great.
That's right.
But I'm happy that I've waited about nearly 2 years to do this on this show, because this show has always meant so much to me. I look at Dan as a father figure and an older brother simultaneously, which is a little complicated. But thank you. The amount of weight that is now off of my shoulders.
Be free. Be free. You are stronger than the internet. You are stronger than cruelty. You are stronger than the negativity that surrounds you in this arena.
It's gone.
Yes.
Just
Mike, you gave him permission.
Yes.
You told
but
him
it's
it was
just not the
okay.
same when you search at Adam Lefkoe kidding me, and it's gone.
That's what you typed in?
That's always what I type in. Lefkoe kidding me.
Lefkoe, everyone's sad now. I have something you could do just to make everyone put a smile on everyone's face, okay? Can you recite the 93 Phillies roster for us? Because there are some great names there.
Okay, so it's Darren Dalton at catcher.
Dutch.
Left field is Pete Incaviglia.
So
Inky.
good. That one's so good.
Second base was Mariano Duncan. Shortstop was Mickey Morandini. Center field was Lenny Dykstra. Who,
Nails.
if I would have known as a child what he turned into, my fandom would have been questioned.
Same here.
Right field was Jim Eisenreich. And then I'm going to miss a few. I'm missing first base and third base.
Wasn't Kruk the first baseman?
Kruk!
Right.
Kruk!
Crucky. Yeah.
And I cannot remember third right now.
It was
But no, so-
Hollins, Ryan Hollins.
Dave Hollins.
Dave Hollins.
That's a
Thank
fine.
you.
Dave Hollins.
That's the wrong
Big-
sport.
He had a flat neck.
Thank you for doing that.
Yes,
You're welcome.
Incaviglia is such a wonderful name, not just comedically, because every time he left field, there was a splotch of testosterone puddled in the outfield on the AstroTurf.
That Phillies team had such juicy mullets.
Yeah.
Everyone on that team in unison said, let's get all the testosterone and just grow it out the back of our heads. It was phenomenal.
He's the host of the NBA on TNT Tuesdays, and he's one of the hosts on NBA Bet Streams presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Are you a gambler?
That answers that.
Dan, I want you to know that you are currently talking to the number one quarters bettor in the world. I bet NBA quarters. Like last night, the fact that your Miami Heat knocked off Memphis in the first quarter, I don't care that you lost the game. You stopped the greatest last night. The best first quarter team in the NBA, the Memphis Grizzlies, went down, and the worst first quarter team in the NBA, the Indiana Pacers, won. That's how sick I am. If you want to know other quarters, we can get into that too. But yeah, I do like to put in a bet on DraftKings Sportsbook.
Mike Ryan just said that Memphis first quarters has been a thing for more than 3 years.
Yeah,
now.
the D-Gens know.
Oh man, last year your Miami Heat were the best third quarter team in the NBA, and the Boston Celtics were the best second quarter team in the NBA. We all know about the Warriors third quarter, but yes, that is. I enjoy. I call them Lefkoe sprinkles because as I'm watching a game, I'm like, this is out of hand. Sprinkle.
It's too much, though, Adam. That is too much. I would say that when you're doing it with that level of need for action, because a game isn't enough. You have to have props. You have to have quarters. You have to have a lot of money spread around. I don't know what too much is, but it sounds to me like too much.
I actually, and I don't want to get it. If you want to get into betting, I would just say that what I don't understand about these sports books is when a team goes up 5-0 to start a game, why does the line move? We are all rational human beings. If the line before the game is, let's say, Heat by 5, after the other team goes up 5-0, why would it then go down to 2 or 3? And the reason that I bet quarters is it happens even more drastically. So let's say the Heat were favored to win the first quarter by 1 and the Grizzlies go up 6-0. Well, now suddenly the Heat are expected to lose the first quarter by 8. I'm just trying. It's not the sports bookies or whatever they're called, the bookmakers. The computers, I don't think, understand what's going on. And as someone that cares about humankind, I'm trying to stop Judgment Day and take down the computers.
Let's talk some basketball here because it seems like every conversation for a couple of years has been a Nets conversation or a Lakers conversation. When you get excited about talking about the good things happening in basketball, where do you head?
Last night was a perfect example of the Oklahoma City Thunder and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They are a team that everyone counts out, and that every time I watch them, they can be down 10 points and they roar back. You expect them to be young and inexperienced, but they never falter in the clutch. The Thunder have been a great team to watch. The thing that I do not enjoy watching is the Philadelphia 76ers. Imagine you have a player like James Harden that is gone for weeks and he comes back and he shoots 4 for 18 and he plays 38 minutes. Like what is Doc Rivers even doing? Other positives that get me excited, the Dallas Mavericks and Luka trying to take 1-on-5 at any given time. And if I was going to give you one more, the Utah Jazz. I have a Utah Jazz season over that I bet on DraftKings Sportsbook that I look at and smile at all the time.
What was the number there?
Like 18 or something?
23.5.
Oh my God, 14.
Yeah, they have 14. That one I mainly bet so that I could prove to Dwayne Wade that I'm a loyal friend. And I was like, oh yeah, man, I bet you're over. But now I'm like, man, I am so smart.
Yeah. Well done, though, Lefkoe.
Are you bummed that, and I don't, you love Crawford as well, but are you bummed that Dwayne Wade is no longer going to be doing that?
The thing about Dwayne is he always cared more about being a great person. And so when you're the host, you kind of have to sit by yourself sometimes and just watch the other games and do a lot of note prep. And the amount of times that he would just come and sit there in between the third and fourth quarter, and I would ask him questions about fatherhood. I'd ask him questions about being a husband, like that real human connection beyond like, wow, can you believe they're down 20? Those are the moments that I'll miss. And Jamal's my guy. We text all the time and I love him too. But like Wade, we just would look at each other and he would remind me, he's like, look where you are. So like, as a human, I will miss Dwayne. We still text a lot, but it was those moments where it felt like we were the only ones there. And I can be like, hey, I'm getting married. What am I about to experience? Those are the moments that I'll miss with him the most.
The Boston Celtics seem to you every bit as overwhelming as the numbers suggest?
They don't have Horford last night. They don't have Marcus Smart. They go into Toronto, and Toronto made it close at the end, and it wasn't even a game. Boston right now has the number one half-court efficiency, I think, of the last decade. They are awful in transition. They are literally just hitting every jump shot. I worry that it's hard to sustain this for the long time, for like the rest of the regular season, but they are playing perfect basketball for playoffs. And I look at Boston, I think it is them. I believe it is a gap. And then I think it's everybody else. I think Milwaukee is probably the second closest. But I think what Boston has done with their coaching issues, with everything that happened with Ime Udoka, I thought they were going to fall off. They lose Robert Williams. Boston right now, night in, night out, best team in the NBA, and it's not even close.
Lefkoe, are you buying the Kings?
I'm buying the beam. I am buying the Kings. I think defensively they are going to get better because that's what Mike Brown does. And I think offensively they have found a really nice balance where it's not just De'Aaron Fox save us. I love the way that they cut. Great third quarter team. Great third quarter team, Dan. You want to bet the Kings should go third quarter away. When they're away, not at home.
On the road.
When they're away.
Right.
On the way.
Yep.
Third quarter Kings. But I'm just happy that,
write that down. Hold on.
We're not just talking about Shaq's quote about the Kings and the Queens from 20, 30 years ago. There seems to be positivity. This beam represents hope for a fan base. No, I'm buying them for real. I think they could be a play-in team.
You have perspective. Again, he's the host of the NBA on TNT Tuesdays and one of the hosts on NBA bet streams presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. You mentioned Robert Williams, and I ask you, when doing the calculations on we have to win, did the Boston Celtics damage Robert Williams?
Oh, with the playoffs last year?
Yeah, making him play or him playing through all of that. And did they damage his career?
Wow. This is where I turn into like a Greg Cote, where I'm like, when you got an opportunity for a championship, you got to risk all your limbs to get it. They were up 1-0 on the Warriors.
That did sound
they were up 2-1 on the Warriors in the finals. But listen, that's why you get paid the money, listen, when I was writing for the Miami Herald back in 1945, there was a player named Gino Torretta.
Yeah.
Okay. Dan will know that answer when he comes back, because all signs right now, they're talking about him at practice looking really good. So the fact that they've been able to give him a little bit more time in the beginning of this season, we'll see. I hope not, because what he brings to that team and his potential as a player is so high.
I just didn't understand why he was out there in that condition. I didn't think that him in that state was even the same player.
Isn't it weird that we can celebrate when a player toughs it out, but we can't ask for them to tough it out? We can't say he should play, but when he does, we can celebrate it. So we all know that we're biting our lip and just being like, man, I really hope you play through it. Like that's the dilemma with Anthony Davis. When he's playing at this MVP level, we're so happy. And when he gets hurt, we've reached a point, and I agree with it, that we can't bemoan the fact that he's hurt. So injuries are such a weird place that we're not supposed to talk about, but when you tough it out, we celebrate it, but you can't celebrate it too much because then you're glorifying it. So I'm always caught in that weird middle ground.
Are you surprised the Lakers have seemed to kind of figure this out with Darvin Ham, Westbrook off the bench, Anthony Davis at the 5, LeBron's healthy, playing well? I know they're an injury away, but they're playing really good, Lefkoe.
I got called a hater in my group chat because I just brought up the teams that the Lakers have beaten on this run.
Oh, here we go.
And so if I can find it, and I said, listen, I'm so happy that Russell Westbrook has accepted this role off the bench. I'm so excited that Anthony Davis is playing at this level. They beat the Nets when they were on the second game of a back-to-back. They beat the Pistons, the Spurs. They beat the Spurs again. They beat the Blazers without Damian Lillard. They beat the Bucs when they were just into their first game back with Middleton. They beat the Wizards, and Beal got hurt in the first quarter, and they lost to Phoenix, and they lost in that buzzer beater to the Pacers. So they went 7-2 in that stretch. But again, I want the Lakers to be good because I'm sure that the Lakers will be on TNT Tuesday almost every show this year. And there is nothing worse than getting to the studio and going, oh, we have a team that has no chance of making the playoffs. So if LeBron and AD got it going, that's great. I'm not ready to buy in. We were crowning DeRozan as MVP midway through last year.
Right.
Players have
Good
these
point.
stretches sometimes, and we need to celebrate it when it's happening, but I don't think we should bet futures on it on DraftKings Sportsbook. Don't do that. Anthony Davis is likely not going to win MVP. Okay.
Thank you for being on with us, Lefkoe, and I hope you still feel the freedom. I hope you feel you're still soaring through the sky because you have rid yourself of this internet cruelty. Congratulations.
What I feel right now, Dan, is raindrops on my face as I reach to the heavens like Andy Dufresne, crawling through miles and miles of feces. And what you have given me are my wings back. Thank you.
It will be short-lived, I promise.
See you later.
Worst. He's the worst. Okay, love y'all.
See you later, Lefkoe.
See you, Lefkoe.